What was your motivation to write this book, Worn Out Saddles and Boot Leather?
Well, I've been with horses my entire life, and I'm still starting young horses. And the year before I started the book, one of the young horses fell on me and did a pretty good job of hurting me. I was laid up a while, and while I was convalescing, I realized what a wonderful life I've had. You have no idea the life that I've had. And I decided, I want to share that with people, especially people that can't go out and do those adventures. And I wanted to say to people to dream, then dream bigger, and then go out and live it. Life is short on one hand. On the other hand, you've got time. If there's something you've been dreaming about, you need to go out and do it. So I wrote Worn Out Saddles.
A lot of your stories were from your experience as a wilderness guide. How did you get to be a wilderness guide in the first place?
Well, I had moved from down near San Diego. I moved my ranch to San Luis Obispo, California, and I was raising a daughter, and I couldn't, cattle and that sort of thing just wasn't enough money. And so I gathered up 5 horses. Most of them were given to me. You couldn't ride them. And some new pack saddles and got a customer. And the first trip into the mountains, I had 3 men I was guiding. And one from the rear hollered up and says, "Man, Will, you know what you're doing. Where did you learn?" I never answered him because that was my first trip. I'd, I'd never been there before. I think some of the pack saddles were on backwards. So that's how I started.
So, when you bring horses to be part of a pack, how do you select them?
Well, horses love to feel secure, love, companionship, and I've always trained and treated horses firm but fair, and they know fair right away.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my horses were given to me. They were bucking everybody off. Somebody had fouled them up. So I gave them security and decent treatment and put pack saddles on them. They loved having a job. They loved going together and doing that job. And within a year, they would be riding everybody. With a horse, you take small steps. You take what they give you. You don't go to the horse's corral and say, "I'm teaching it this today." You go see what the horse wants to learn that day.
Mm-hmm.
And then if a horse gets to liking you, you got it made. The only caution I'll tell you is that horses are big and there's always some element of danger.
Well, that's interesting that you said that because as I said, I have had my horse for 17 years, and I came upon a coyote den with pups a few days ago, and I wasn't close to it, but my horse knew it immediately, and he almost took off and almost dumped me. So this is a horse that I've never fallen from, touch wood, but they're not motorcycles. They're not Barbies. They are wild animals, even though they're domesticated. So
Well,
how,
I rode broncs and bulls for 19 years, and I've been starting horses most of my life. And after 6 concussions, I wear a helmet. I would suggest that people wear helmets before they hit their head, not after.
that's right. So
They're big animals, and I'm 73 now. I just came in from riding a young filly, and I can tell you I don't feel as safe as I did 20 years ago.
I agree. I mean, I've worn a helmet since I was probably 10, and that's the way I was trained. But I have to say, I was amazed that I could keep my cool when he was going to bolt and rear, and he'd never done that to me before. But that was something that was interesting in your book where you talk about horses and how they react to some of um, some of these pack adventures that you've had. What was your biggest challenge taking people who are basically novices up into the mountains with horses that they've never ridden before?
You know, you're going to think I'm crazy. I took the only horse that had a bit and a bridle was mine. All the rest of them only had halters, and they had sheepskin over the halter, and then a 1 inch cotton lead from both sides, so that our customer had two leads, and they were big cotton rope. Couldn't hurt. They couldn't hurt the horse. They couldn't hurt themselves. And I never, 10 years, no accidents. 200 days a year riding, no accidents. You know, the first thing I do with an amateur rider is take the bit out of the horse's mouth because that just starts problems.
Mhm. Have you ever used a hackamore?
Yes.
Is that something that is workable with people who are novices?
Not into the wilderness I went, but in a great most places, yes. But in the wilderness where we went, the ground was either straight up or straight down, and people have a tendency to keep holding the horse back, hold the horse back. You know, you need to let go of the horse and relax, which I'll bring up now. The best way to stay on a horse that might spook or is spooky is what I call a cowboy slump. You just kind of sit down in the saddle and relax. Your thighs and your body, you relax into the saddle. You never have pressure down in those stirrups. If you're pushing down on those stirrups, you're going to get thrown out. The stirrup is not for staying on the horse. It's a balance for left or right. Your bottom is what rides that horse. So you want to sit him, feel him, dance with him.
That's what I learned. I mean, I immediately put my hands forward, and it was risky. Felt risky, but I was like, nope, you can't go back. You cannot go back. Legs off, not on his side at all, because it's dangerous. So you've written this book. Is this the first book you wrote?
It is. I've actually written the book twice. The first rendition was when I got out of the hospital, but was on I was convalescing, and that first entire book is not. I can't read it. So a couple months later, when I was out of bed moving around, I rewrote it, and then we proofed it 4 times and sent it to McFarland Publishing.
Okay, so it's been published by a traditional publishing press. Is that correct?
Yes, and I want to add very quickly that traditional press just sent me another contract for my next book. So I'm
excellent. Congratulations. What's your next book about?
It's a miracle for somebody that failed English twice.
What's the topic of your next book?
It's the name of it is well, of course the name can change now, but A Scent in the Air. I've had dogs since I was 8 years old. Great dogs, cow dogs, sheep dogs, gun dogs, pets, and I trained dogs for 30 years. These are the best stories of all those years. They're just simply unbelievable. I never trained with a collar. I shocked a dog. You know, Gun Dog Magazine has written me up 2 or 3 times because I won't use the training collars and which in my eyes, they're a gimmick. They're good for the trainer, no good for the dog. Take a little more time. It's just like a horse. Take what the dog gives you. Build on that dog, and pretty soon the dog will be driving, cooking breakfast, but you got to give him a chance. Shock collars and clickers just do not work. You're better off to take a few more months.
So I love the way you talk about training animals, horses and dogs. Do you think that that approach, not forcing things, letting things come, is a lesson that riders can learn?
Oh, yes. We all go to the pen. We all think we know what we want to teach the horse, but have we thought about how to teach the horse?
Mm-hmm.
You know how horses shy at white trash bags.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a flagpole in my barn with a white trash bag. And then I've got a white trash bag hanging off both their doors. They want to come in and eat. They got to go buy that whipping bag.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't involved in it. They just learn for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they're animals and humans aren't that far apart. None of us learn if it's forced upon us. None of us learn if you try to teach me 4 things today, but I only can grasp 3. That's where you need to know to stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how do those lessons apply to the writer, do you think?
What's that?
How do those kind of lessons apply to the writer? Is there a connection?
Well, absolutely, because anytime you're writing, whatever it is that you're writing, you need to draw the reader in.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people call me. I had a guy that I guided 40 years ago called me. He says, I'm right there beside you again.
Mm-hmm.
He said, frankly, I don't like it. But he said, I can smell the air just like you. I can feel the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing I learned while I was in the hospital, because when I wrote my first chapters, I wrote from the heart, from that inner self you never exposed to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the key to that book, Worn Out Saddles. And all the stuff I write now, I'll tell you anything that I was thinking then,
Mm-hmm.
how I felt. I can sit and remember all those years of dogs. I can remember sitting with each one somewhere, the smell of the air, the smell of the dog. And I think that as a writer, you've got to bring the person into the story,
Mm-hmm.
or it's just another book.
Mm-hmm.
And you cannot do that without writing from your inner self.
One thing I really got onto, I mean, among many other things, but I was very taken with the descriptions of the heat. Every time you talked about the heat, I could feel that. I could feel the warmth. I could feel it when it would drop. I could feel it when it was just sweltering. I mean, I think that's really important. You know, it's interesting because there's this old adage in graduate schools, don't show, don't tell. But I think sometimes telling is a way of communicating, but showing it in, sorry about that, my husband will get that. You're really showing the senses by describing the environment and also describing the temperature, I think is really important as well. Plus all the personalities that you have in the book. I really appreciate you taking the time. I think this is an exciting new initiative because part of what I want to do as a leader of this New Mexico Book Association is to really highlight authors' voices and to have conversations amongst ourselves and with other people. And because we're going to put this on YouTube, your book, and I'm going to put it up here just so everybody knows it's Worn Out Saddles from Leather.
That's not all that was worn out.
Yeah, I know. I've got things that are worn out. Yeah, it was funny after the sort of incident with my horse the other day and the coyotes. I mean, I went home and I was like, okay, am I hurt? And then I thought, if you're thinking about it that much, you're not hurt. You know,
Yeah,
there's nothing
yeah.
wrong with you.
You'll know.
Yeah, I know exactly. You knew. So I really appreciate you taking the time. I'm compressing the videos and sending them off to Luis to post on YouTube.
Well, you know, it's all the writing is an honor.
Mm-hmm.
And then McFarland picked it up. And now I've belonged to different associations. They're all wonderful. You're all wonderful. It's all an enormous honor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't say I'm raking any money in, but that's not why I wrote the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really broadened my life. And I have, uh, after I was injured, I prayed a lot about what's next. What do I do next to help the other person?
Mm-hmm.
So I started to write.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just it's just been great. It couldn't be greater.
Good.
I've met wonderful people too.
Exactly. I mean, we're a very eclectic group. I don't know if you will have a chance to come to Tiny's on April 11th. That's our next meetup. But I encourage you to come to that. You'll get an email about that.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you so much.
Now, if there's anything ever something I can do for you or the group, you let me know.
I will, absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.